Let us see social contract of Hobbes and Locke. See, in case of social contract of Hobbes, what Hobbes says that individual live in the state of nature. That is a social contract. And for Hobbes, what is the purpose? What is the purpose of social contract? You remember, self-preservation. Purpose was very clear. And there is only one contract in Hobbes. Because of one contract, state, government, society come into existence. That is point. In a state of nature, state, government, society, nothing existed in the state of nature. And we know that it was social contract because there was a contract among the people. And person A said that they are going to transfer their power to B, C. That is point. King is the part of contract among individuals. King was not the part of contract. And after contract, individuals are not having any right. They have transferred every right for the state, absolute state, and they have only one sort of right, that is a right of a self-preservation. That is also limited because there is no scope for the revolt of the people against the state, because time and again what Hobbes says that this state of nature is an anarchy, and how we can have a rational preservation of self, that is under state. That is point he said that because individual are selfish, individual is selfish, egoist, and in the state of nature, individual were selfish. But after the formation of his state, nature of individual is not going to be changed. Nature of individuals remain the same. And that is point how you can regulate the nature of individual with the coercive power of a state. And that is point what Hobbes says that every individual is some sort of a small monster, and then we need a larger monster in order to regulating the behavior of individual. And one thing how you can regulate about the individual, that is a fear of punishment. That is the only way how you can regulate the behavior of human being. No other way is available. That is the idea of Hobbes. So Hobbes says that this state means there is a guarantee of a life, there is a peace, there is stability, there is security. There is security. And without security, nothing can happen. And that is the point. First necessity of life is a survival. First necessity of life is a security. That is the objective of Hobbes. And Hobbes says that there is only one contract. It is not two contract. One contract, and people have surrendered their every right for the state. That is the point. After contract, individuals are not enjoying the rights except the self-preservation. Every right was transferred to the state. In a state of nature, everybody was enjoying the right. That was a state of might is right. Therefore, in state of nature, life was short, nasty, and brutish. But we cannot forget the fact that Hobbes says that human nature is a egoist, selfish, and power seeker. But in case of John Locke is adopting the same technique of social contract. Because we know that social contract means this is the idea of consent. And consent is a modern idea. Consent is a term where democracy is also arriving in the Western world. Because state come into existence by consent, so that was unique too. Otherwise, how you can imagine that absolute monarch can be justified with the help of social contract? You remember I have also told that this is the reason why it is said that Hobbes attack over democracy with help of a democracy. Hobbes was attacking over democracy. Why? Because he was supporting absolute government. But he's a Democrat since his logic is based on social contract. So Hobbes is not coming in, state is not coming in power because of coercion. King is not coercing individual to transfer me power. King is not compelling individual to give him power. And what is point? Every individual is having reason and they are agreeing with each other in order to transferring their absolute and every power for the state, for the government. That is the idea of Hobbes. But we know that purpose of John Locke was totally different, because John Locke was looking for supporting the power of parliament. The purpose of Locke was totally different. That is point. The methodology of social contract was utilized by Locke too, but result was different. Result was different. And how Locke also believed that there is social contract. That is point. In state of nature, and we know that state of nature means the social contract is state of nature. That is actually never happened. It was a hypothetical, both in Hobbes as well as in Locke. Just like a story of a movie. Just like we are assuming the value of X is 10 rupees. So both are philosopher, and both are assuming that there is a hypothetical social contract. This social contract, that is the point. They are not explaining that what is the date of social contract, what is the day of social contract, how many people assemble in social contract. That was not description. That was not description of either Hobbes or Locke. Therefore, it was a hypothetical. It was a method for justifying their purpose. That is the point. The purpose of Hobbes was very clear, justifying the absolute power of a state. But what method he want to apply? So social contract. The same method that is applied by John Locke. But John Locke said that a state of nature was not a state of war. This Hobbesian state of nature is just like a state of war. This state of nature is really the present condition of Sudan, where civil war is going on. This state of nature is somehow more similar to the condition of Afghanistan 2 years back, whether no government, even people were feeling that their life is under threat. But Hobbesian state is a state of nature, anarchy, and here life is in danger. In Hobbesian state of nature, because Hobbes says that human nature is selfish and egoist. But in case of John Locke never said that individual is a selfish, individual is egoist, individual is rational. Individual rational first and foremost. But one thing is very interesting. Locke also said that every individual is looking for maximizing their pleasure. There is no problem. Every individual is looking for their own well-being. What is the problem in that? Since rational individual want to maximize their own interest, there is no problem in that. But individual is not like egoist, selfish. And if individual is not like egoist and selfish, neither individual is moral. That is not the case. Individual is not like a person who is involved in charity. Individual is neither moral nor egoist, nor a fighter like Hobbes. That is the point. Every individual was a rational, and they were looking for their self-interest, maximization of pleasure, and they were looking for their own good. Simple philosophy was there. That is point. State of nature was peaceful. That is the point. State of nature and human nature is connected with each other. In a similar, here John Locke also said that state of nature was a peaceful because human nature is such. An interesting example, you go in Switzerland. See, everything is happy. Everything is good. Although there is a state, but why it is happening? Because people are good. If people are good, then there will be peace and there will be cooperation. And what Locke says that the question is that in a state of nature, what happens? State and government were not there, but society was there. In Hobbesian state of nature, it was neither state, nor government, nor society. But in Lockean state of nature, state existed, or society existed. Society was existed, state and government was absent. That is the meaning of state of nature. Here state of nature is not a state of war, and moreover in a state of nature, individual is also enjoying natural right, and they're regulated with natural law. That's very interesting. It means a state of nature is peaceful, point number one. There is state of nature and life is peaceful, point number one. Even individuals are also enjoying rights, point number two. This is natural law, point number three. And look, in that context, then the question is that why people should come out of a state of nature? That is a logical question. In Hobbesian analysis, there was a need for coming out of a state of nature. Why there is compulsion for coming out of a state of nature? Because a state of nature was a state of war. Life was in danger. Therefore, jaan hai to jahan hai. At any cost, we want to come out of that. This state of nature is just like living peacefully in Switzerland. Then we are enjoying, there is no conflict in society, there is no war. And in Hobbesian state of nature was a war against each and everyone. But here, people are living peacefully, they are enjoying natural right, and then there is a natural law, everybody is having reason, nobody is harming others. Then what is the need to come in social contract? That was a logical question. Here, need of social contract in case of Hobbes, that was very visible. But in case of Locke, the question is that what was the need for social contract? Why people should come into social contract? Then we know that every thinker is just like a storyteller. They are like a director of a movie. डायरेक्टर ऑफ अ मूवी मीन्स अब तो किसी मूवी को आप देखो ऐसा लगेगा कि व्हेन अब हीरो हीरोइन मिल गया लगता है कि मूवी इज गोइंग टू स्टॉप बट सडनली व्हाट विल हैपन एक्सीडेंट हीरो इज मीटिंग विथ एन एक्सीडेंट एंड इन द मीन टाइम अब उसको देन ही वेंट इन कोमा एंड once he's coming out of coma then half of the movie is over. That is every philosopher thing. Here it appears that there is no possibility how we can move Lockean thought ahead. Because he said everything is okay. People are not desperate. People are enjoying, people are celebrating. But then there is a twist came in the movie. And what twist? Locke said that, but there is some inconveniences. Look, the light term. Whenever we are saying inconveniences, that is lighter term. It means it was not a war. People, life was not at the stake. It was some inconveniences. And what was inconveniences? The lack of codified law. You remember, in the state of nature, there was a natural law. And natural law means it was not codified. It was nowhere written. Natural law is some sort of moral law. Natural law is some sort of divine law. So everybody was claiming that I know natural law. Then the question is that there must be some codification. और आप जानते हो, whenever there is a moral law, there is likely to emerge a dispute. Why? What was inconveniences? Inconveniences were very simple. There was a lack of a written law, codified law, or there was lack of a positive law. You remember, natural law was there. And for enacting the positive law, we need legislature. And if we are having this positive law, then we are looking for agency of an execution of law. And then who execute the law? Executive. It means in nutshell, what was the inconveniences? It was a lack of the government. Lack of the government. Very simple inconvenience was that. And positive law, see, there was a lack of positive law, there was a natural law, and then lack of execution, lack of agency which can execute the positive law. And lastly, there was a lack of an agency which can adjudicate the law. There was lack of agency which can adjudicate the law. It means there was absence of state and government. There was absence of state and government. And that was the inconveniences existed in the state of nature. And what happened? Because of that inconveniences, what happened? See, in case of no positive law, Natural law was there. In case of no magistrate, because there is no executive, in case of no judiciary, then what will happen? Natural right are at the stake. There is a problem for natural right, because what is happening? Because natural law means it is a divine law. So one person is saying that God has given me a dream that next land belong to you. Then some person said, no, no, God has given a dream. No, no, this land was yours. Then conflict is bound to emerge. That is point. Everybody is claiming that I am getting some intuition from God. I am getting some message from God. And that is problem. Right, natural right is the issue where there was a need of the formation of state and government. Because state of nature, what was inconveniences? Lack of government. And because of lack of government, natural right was in danger. And what was most important component of natural right? That is right to property. Here, what was the reason for formation of a state? Survival. And here, right. Therefore, Locke is a more progressive. Locke is having more reason. That is point. Security is more important for life, or liberty is more important for life? Liberty is more important. Right is more important for life. If we are only looking for security, therefore security is also needed for the animal world too. And that is point. This debate is also there in international politics. A realist says that security is very important. Liberal says that no, liberty is very important. This debate of liberty versus security also comes in the discussion of international relations. And Locke says that we can resolve every dispute peacefully, and we can live in a more peaceful way. How? Through social contract. In order to removing these inconveniences, then social contract occurred. In order to removing these inconveniences, social contract occurred. And let us see how this social contract occurred. It is just like Hobbes, but what was the genius of John Locke? Because the purpose of John Locke is justifying the limited and constitutional government. Therefore, John Locke says that there is a two stages of a social contract. Or more precisely, John Locke never said that whether social contract was one or two. Hobbes is very clear here. That is the point. Sometime we can find out some logical inconsistency in idea of John Locke. There is more paradox in idea of John Locke than Hobbes. But Locke consequence is very good. Hobbes in consequence is very dangerous. Therefore, most of his scholars, some scholars are saying that there is a two social contract. This is not idea of John Locke. John Locke became silent. He was very clever. वो जानता था जहाँ wherever I can come in the trouble, he was a silent. Then later, so many scholars are explaining about John Locke. What actually he said that? Some scholars say that no, there is a two social contract. Sabine says that. Barker say that no, there is a one contract. Other is second is activity, no contract. Second is more trust. And then some people say that no, it is no contract. It is a two stage of a contract. Is not two. There is a two stage contract. And why this two stage contract was necessary? You know that because he wanted to make a distinction between state and government. Hobbes never made a distinction between state and government. Hobbes never tried to maintain even the separation between various organs of the government. Hobbes never made a difference. But it was assumed by John Locke. And John Locke said that no, there is a three organs of the government. And in fact, he is making a distinction between, through first social contract, state come into existence. And through second social contract, government comes into existence. And why this two-stage contract was very important for John Locke? Because we know that social contract was purpose. Their greater target was to obtain their goal. And what was goal of John Locke? Establishing limited constitutional government. The purpose of Hobbes was contrary to that. Method is same social contract. Therefore, social contract is a tool, is a machine. There is not purpose. And what is their greater purpose? Greater purpose was to form a state and government. And why, if you want to ask why there is a two-stage contract, answer is very clear. Because in case if government is encroaching over natural right, you remember there is a two stage of contract first, and what right people have transferred to the government? Natural right is not transferred. You always remember, natural right is not transferred for the government, but government is made for protecting the natural right. Then natural right is more important, or formation of government is more important? What is more important? Natural right. Natural right became primary, individual became primary, rather than state and government. State and government is merely machine, merely agency for protecting natural right. But in case they are failing to protect natural right, then what will happen? A revolution will occur. Revolution will occur against the government or against the state? Against the government. And that is point. People can change government at any time. And there will be no anarchy. That is a threat which always created by Hobbes. Hobbes said that never try to bring about revolution, because if you are bringing about revolution, then you will again come back in state of nature. Because in Hobbesian idea, there's only two options: either you live in state of nature, or you live under in strong, powerful government. But Locke says no, third option is there. We can live in limited constitutional government. That is point he defended two-stage cooperation first. Second, for Hobbes, every power after social contract that is transferred for state. Every power after social contract that is transferred for state, and state means here absolute monarchy, one person, one monarch. But in Locke, power is given for the majority, that is a legislature. Power is not given for a king. Power is given for a majority community. Power is given for the state. And therefore, Locke is justifying the importance of the constitutional government. He is against the paternal government, unlimited government, absolute government. That is a point. They have very carefully crafted their social contract. And just like it's movie, what happens in director want to see a love story. They are having any purpose of their cinema, but what they are making? Twist and turn in the movie. Similarly, Hobbes and Locke, the purpose, they have the Lockean movie just like DDLJ. Hobbesian movie is like Nana Patekar. There is a conflict. You know the name of Nana Patekar? So Hobbesian movie is just like a Fast and Furious. Stunt, dham, dhurm, yeah, this is like love story. It's silsila. That is a point. What John Locke says, that John Locke became the founder of liberalism, constitutional government, and he said that, and people can remove government at any time. That is a point. Locke utilized social contract. Locke utilized the theory of consent for defending the constitutional government. Therefore, he made the theory of social contract to logical conclusion. Hobbes created a paradox. Why Hobbes created paradox? He is taking democratic method for attacking democracy. Are you getting the point? And here John Locke is applying the democratic method for defending democracy. Democratic method for defending democracy. And that is a best idea of John Locke. And thereafter, we can conclude that why John Locke is considered as the father of liberalism, and then individual as emerging as victorious. Who is emerging victorious in the social contract of John Locke? Individual. State becomes subsidiary. State becomes machine. State becomes limited, although there is a need of a state. because John Locke, also being a liberal, he said that we can't live in anarchy. Anarchy is not a solution. And that is point what he said, that state is a solution, state will be limited, and this is considered as a necessary evil. State is evil, that is considered by John Locke, but it's necessary for protecting natural right, for protecting property, and this became the foundation of the government of US. Founding father of United States, they took that kind of social contract. And don't you think that when our founding fathers, we have made Indian Constitution, it is social contract among the people for making a democratic government. And later, this theory of social contract was revived by great scholar John Rawls. John Rawls. So this is the idea of a social contract.